is a crazy many crooked lives, right?
He's like a man who gets tortured and whipped.
I know, exactly, right? So, most of us know Jesus if you don't, right? Jesus is God. He came down, God in flesh. He lived a perfect life. Sinless life, no mistakes, got 100% on every geometry quiz you could ever think of, right? He was perfect. His mom never beat his butt for doing something stupid, unlike mine, right? But, right, he still suffered persecution, right? Jesus walked a perfect life. He deserved nothing. He should have been exalted. He should have been king, right? But I mean, from the day he was born, King Herod tried to kill him. He flew to Egypt. And then during his ministry, he was persecuted with the Pharisees, right? We can see he was not living an easy life. And then we can see that the devil was trying to tempt him. He was getting shot at from all sides, right? And you guys want to know what his reward for this persecution was? His death, right? So there are hard times you'll go through, like as I know, I can't get off geometry. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Worst experience throughout school, hands down. I hated geometry, right? But as I hated going through it, it helped me learn math. It helped me learn other areas of math. It helped me in my walk with education, right? And so you can see that hard times help us. But right here, it's like Jesus. You went through a lot of hard times. It doesn't seem like you get that benefit. It doesn't seem like you get that growth. He just gets death. And as you know, he's God, and he's doing this for us. He's doing this to save us from our sins. But I want to read a very interesting verse for you guys that I think we often overlook, frankly. Let me find it for us. It's Matthew 27:45 and 46. It says, "From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the whole land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out with a loud, Eli, Eli, lama?" I'm probably not pronouncing that right.
Lama sabachthani.
Yes, thank you. Yes, right? Which translates to, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And then I think, I looked at different translations. The CBS translation says, my God, why have you abandoned me?" Right? We have Jesus, Son of God, like perfect man, walked his entire life in righteousness. He feels abandoned, right? He's on the cross, beaten, whipped, persecuted, people making fun of him, people gambling for his clothes. That's calling him all sorts of names. They played lots for his clothes. He's a walking like piece of art of persecution, right? He's confused. He thinks God has abandoned him, right? And I think this is powerful because he's God. He knows God hasn't abandoned him, but he still feels abandoned, right? And there are many times where I feel abandoned. Like there are many times where I'm stressed out with school or stressed out with my sisters. There are a lot to handle. Zoe and Finley can really get on, dude. It's wild, right? But there are many times where I'm stressed out and I feel like no one's there for me, you know? I'm going to prom on Saturday and I have to make a lot of decisions. Dude, picking out a course is the most stressful thing in my life. I never thought it was, but a flower, I'm telling you, it's wild. Like, I never thought I'd be more stressed out for putting a flower out in my life. And so we see that God, Jesus, feels abandoned, right? And then shortly after saying this, he cries out and then dies, right? And so, like Stone said a while back, right? There are two things I left out. I'm gonna close this off real quick so you can look at it. There are two things I left out. And so, one, back with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we see something really cool. It's called a Christophany. It's a really big book. Does anyone know what a Christophany is?
It's when Jesus appears on earth before he
Exactly, yeah. So, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is in the Old Testament, which was written and said several hundred years before the New Testament. Several hundred years. And Daniel might be even more, right? And so Jesus is not even in the picture yet, right? He's not even close, right? But as Stone said, right, when they get thrown in the fires, King Nebuchadnezzar shoots up. Like he's like, whoa, like didn't we send 3 people in there? I see 4, right? And so this is great because we see that when we stay faithful, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when we rely on God no matter what we know his will is, no matter what we know his plan for us is, and we get persecuted, God's with us. They're thrown into the fire. Not knowing what would happen, what the outcome would be, if they'd be burned alive or they'd walk out unscathed. No matter what, they were thrown in, faithful to God, and we can see that God was with them, literally and figuratively, right? Obviously, he's omnipresent, so he's always with us, right? But when we stay faithful to God through those hardships, he's always with us, right? And obviously, Jesus, he felt abandoned, right? But I'm not sure if you guys know, pretty cool fun fact, he dies, and then 3 days later, he does something pretty cool, right? He rises from the dead. Plot twist, I know. I read Matthew 27. Whoa, Matthew 28. Whoa, you know? Right? And so we see that God was with Jesus, obviously, right? But we see that we can feel abandoned, we can doubt God. But as long as we're faithful and we trust in His plan, that we know He's always with us, right? And so, you know, for our seniors, you might not know what their next step is, or, you know, me who's got a summer job, or since you're in car, you play video games in the room all day, eating Hot Pockets and Doritos, right? We will face hardships and suffering, right? Whether it's like doing the chores and my mom whooping my butt for not doing them, or my job is hard, right? I don't know what I'm doing, and then they have expectations for me, and I don't know what I'm doing. Or I just don't know where I'm going, right? Maybe the job I wanted doesn't want me. Maybe the college I wanted to go to won't accept me, right? I'm just confused, right? And so this is an encouragement that no matter what you're going through, big or little, small, whatever, right? Because obviously these are pretty big circumstances, being thrown into a fire and crucified, right? But Jesus is always with us. And so I want to encourage you guys that if you stay faithful to Jesus, which I know can be hard, especially throughout the summer when you're on a schedule, stay faithful to Jesus, be in your word, pray, be in godly community, we rely on God, that when you go through these hard times, He'll always be with you, and He will always take you out of them. All right, I'm going to pray us out, and then Miss Carol is going to do that.